Okay. All right, guys. Well, if you can get your camera on, Joyce, no, Noah, Num, Gabby, um, that would be awesome. If not, totally cool. In terms of where we want to go today, guys, feel free to stop me at any point. Um, I know you guys, can be specific. We got, I don't know, 10 of y'all here today, and so I really want to make this time like practical to you. um, I think a lot of times in university, like, knowledge is power. Well, like, used knowledge is power. For example, like Judah reached out to me and he's like, "Hey Tucker, I want to talk with you about a few things." And like, a practical tip that I gave him was, "Hey, right now it's hard to find jobs. It's actually harder probably to find capital in the market." And so the tip I gave him, I don't know if you're here or not, but it was like, "Hey, who are the companies that are actually doing deals right now? Go read The Real Deal, New York publications, biznow.com. There you'll find companies that are actively doing deals, where they're trading, they're developing, they're disposing, they have capital and they're looking to hire." So that's kind of what our focus is going to be today. It's not really like theoretical, boom, it's practical. Let's kind of make it happen today. It's March 8th. Um, I guess, what year are y'all? Are there any freshmen on this call? Nope. Sophomores? Rachel? Any juniors? Isaac and Noah? Seniors?
Yeah.
Yup. Who has a full-time job offer? No one yet. Put in the chat if you can't raise your hand. Who has an internship already set up? Okay. Benny, you have one for this summer. Let's go, Joyce.
Um, I could continue here where I
Oh,
am right now.
sweet, sweet,
So
sweet.
until either I find a job or maybe even start full time here, we'll see what happens.
Cool. Well, Joyce, Benny, Gavi, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Congratulations. Um, I guess today then it's, hey, how can we get a job? And really, like, that's what I do. um, I don't know if you guys know what Adventures in CRE is, and what my role is, but just a quick like 2-minute overview. My background: I was a college swimmer, and my coach wouldn't let me get a job in commercial real estate. So I'm like, dude, I need to find my way into the business somehow. And so if you're young, Rachel, I think you might be the youngest on this call, like, you got to find your way into the business early, because it will compound and set you up for success. And because my coach wouldn't let me, I was like, maybe I should start a recruiting business helping athletes get jobs in real estate. And then that compounded, that compounded. Next thing you know, I'm getting like all of the real estate club at SMU, about 60 people jobs in commercial real estate. And like, I just loved it, man. I knock on my friends' doors. And if you guys want to run for leadership in the club, this is a phenomenal way to grow and get known. I'd go to CBRE and JLL, and a few other companies would reach out to us, and I'd say, "Hey, I'm Tucker. I'm president of the real estate club. Can I bring in 10 of my friends?" And we sit down at your office and you tell us about your guys' organization. Um, and that's what they did. And they started to hire them. And I'm like, this is really fun. And I've continued to do that. And so now, kind of my role, I was working in executive search, filling more VP levels in real estate development and multifamily and industrial in Dallas, Austin, Denver, and Phoenix. And then Adventures in CRE came my way. If you guys don't know Adventures in CRE, we're the largest real estate financial modeling. What's up, Benny?
No, I was just gonna say this is a perfect time. I think everyone should know who they are, who you guys
Okay.
are, and like you could give the pitch. It's not like an advertisement. Go for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's no pitch to give, y'all. We're the largest we're the largest real estate financial modeling website on the internet. Just about like 99.999% of all of our stuff is free. We have one paid course called the Accelerator, which is not something I'm advertising today. If you guys want to learn financial modeling, you can go the free way and download all our stuff on the site, or you could go the paid way and download and pay it. Universities get a sweet discount. Um, and so we started selling it to universities during COVID. And then because I needed that when I was a student. And so I saw the need there. And then it was like, oh my gosh, companies are now wanting to hire the ACRE students. And so we've morphed into a recruitment business helping students who take our program get jobs in commercial real estate. Um, Companies like Goldman Sachs, Prudential, Marcus and Millichap, Heinz, these are all organizations who, first off, train their people using the accelerator and has said, hey, we want to hire people coming out of grad or undergrad programs. And so in the next few years, you'll see ACRE coming into this space pretty strong. Right now, we're still setting the groundwork. And so that's my background. I actually started a new role 4 or 5 months ago at the Dallas Business Journal. I started to write a lot of content at ACRE, and I wanted to get into the publication side of the business because ACRE is morphing into that. We have 160,000 people who visit our site every month, and it's just continuing to grow. And so I'm like, hey, publications, how can we throw events, how can we use our brand to get more eyeballs. And so my role has not changed, but it's evolved. And at the end of the day, our vision and our focus is to help more college students learn financial modeling and get roles in commercial real estate. um, so that's about it. Stop me if you have questions. Seriously, stop me. In terms of kind of like what I'm going to talk about today, it's going to be the job market. Um, so it sounds like someone's on mute. Do you guys have a question? Nope. Yep. What's up?
Hi, first of all, thank you for speaking to us.
Of course.
Second of all, I was just wondering, I'm applying now for jobs for summer 2024, and I see that there's two different routes you could go. It's either you could go into the corporate world or you could work at a mom and pop shop. Can you just explain to us sort of what you think the benefits of each are and which you think
Yeah.
would be more beneficial?
Yeah. Great question. I'm going to get into that later on, and so bear with me for a few minutes. All right. Cool. Um, all right, guys. So, what was the job market like about a year ago? Let's just call it 2 years ago. Um, COVID happened, and boom, like everything shut off. And I start with that because that's actually what happened almost a year ago. So COVID happened, everything shut off, no businesses hired, a lot of real estate companies actually laid people off. But then the Fed dumped a bunch of money in, and it's like, oh my gosh. And from about June 2020, in some markets, I know y'all are up in New York, um, Florida, Texas, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, we got a lot of New Yorkers. California, LA, SF, same thing. Phoenix, Dallas, they came over here. And so what happened was all these companies just started to acquire acquisitions roles, brokerage roles, and development roles. There was low interest rates. A lot of deals were made. And so the roles that grew the most are development roles. And if you don't know what development is, you guys might be able to see this multifamily complex right here. It's basically, hey, actually Goldman Sachs' new headquarters is coming in right here, but it's building something from the ground up or nothing. Highest risk, highest reward. There's a lot of capital. There's a lot of low interest rate loans that developers or owners can get. And so they use that money to build and create value. Acquisitions is a bit different. There's two types of acquisitions. Land acquisitions. So you're actually buying and selling land for developers, or you can acquire that building right here and you can sit on it, hold it, you can value add it. So some jobs that you guys might be looking for are acquisitions roles, which is land and then existing assets. Brokerage, lastly, brokerage. Again, you're going to be the in between a buyer and a seller. And so a broker usually makes 6% commission on a deal. Let's say this is $100 million. A broker or a team, they'd make about 6 million on that deal. So these roles grew the most because these are like hunter roles. Uh, Today I'm going to use the difference hunter and gatherer, or it's like a baby. We fed it and we nourished it. And so these roles were a lot of hunters, development, acquisitions, brokerage roles. The personality types for these roles are outgoing, love to network, strong, maybe like business development folks. And so if you're someone who might want to take a step back and is like, you know what, I don't want to be, front of the camera. I don't want to be like the man on the scene. I don't want to be, the person who's making either cold calls or sending in a bunch of emails or showing up to the networking events. Then don't go this route. All right. So today I just want to prepare you to get momentum earlier on in your career. Are there any questions before I move on? If so, just unmute me and or unmute yourself and talk. Okay, so I started off with this because this is kind of what's happening in today's marketplace. March 2022, a year ago, Fed raises the interest rates. So Fed raises interest rates from, I don't know, 2% to 4%, the fastest I think they've done in 40 years. Like people's pocketbooks get shorter. There's fear into the economy. So what happens? Number one, home builders get hit first. If you guys don't really know the career around home building, it's an awesome job. Instead of building a 270 unit multifamily complex on, I don't know, 3 acres, you can go build 150 acres, another 270 homes. That's a phenomenal role to get into. And it's just as lucrative, it's just as fun, and it's just as sophisticated as commercial development. So these guys get hit the first. And why do I say that is because they're going to be the first to get out. So if you're looking at roles right now, you might consider home builders. Companies like DR Horton, Lennar, those are two massive home builders. I know a lot of y'all are in New York City and might want to stay in New York City. There's not a lot of land in New York City. However, this could be a great role for you if you're looking for an internship. And they get hit the most, they get hit first because, if I go and want to buy a house, then there's less money in my bank account. Whereas when institutions want to go out, they have hundreds of millions of dollars. So, they get hit secondly. So second half of last year, y'all, as you probably know, land acquisitions stopped. Acquisitions like existing assets stopped. Really, development stopped too. And so I contexted COVID with this is because we're seeing a lot of the same. And right now is your time to go out there and network and hit people up and apply to jobs and do it smartly, Judah, as I mentioned, is because my prediction is when it comes back, like it's going to come back hard, kind of like what happened in COVID. And so what that means is, again, there's going to be a lot of hires, there's going to be more acquisitions, there's going to be more development, and your name should be first. When a company says, hey, who do I want to hire? We're looking for an intern, Judah's name should be first. Benny's name should be first because they reached out to me, whether it's to speak or to network. And so, there's 15 other people on this call that, you got to be proactive with that. Whether that's, hey, Benny, can this random person who's a developer at Gotham Development in New York come speak to my club? That's a phenomenal way to get your name out there. Exactly what I did. Hey, I'm president of the real estate club. Can we come to you? Sure. One of you guys, there's 15 people on this call today. if Gotham Development said, hey, we'd love to give you a property tour, like I guarantee they'd say yes if you guys wanted to schedule that. So go to Gotham Development, go to related companies, go to OKO Group, one of the largest hospitality, beautiful builders. Um, that's how you kind of get noticed. And that's how you get noticed in a different way. It's not like a random like LinkedIn message. This is, hey, I'm like on your site right now. So whether you're a current club member right now who's about to graduate or one of the new leaders, like that's a phenomenal project for you to take on. And it's cool. You get to see a cool building and it's a cool experience. So the roles that are growing right now and in the foreseeable future aren't the development, acquisition, and brokerage roles. They're the asset management and portfolio management. So, like the hunters, they go out and get the deal or make the kill. The gatherers on the flip side nourish the deal. And
So,
so we're
Tucker,
seeing, yep,
sorry if you don't mind, just me pausing you for a second. So if I'm getting you correctly, you're saying that those three like groupings of jobs right now are harder because of market conditions, and the following roles, which I think you have up on your slide, are going to be the ones that are more easily accessible right now at this point.
yep,
So
exactly.
what do you tell someone who, and maybe you'll get here so you can just, blow me off until later. But what do you tell somebody who wants a role in one of those three categories, which are probably, usually the more popular ones amongst college students?
For
Like,
sure.
how do you still push through? And like, I know you said you should start networking now, but like, what are some things that you can do to like, or should you just say, maybe I'll just take something that isn't necessarily my ideal job right now, but like,
Yeah.
hopefully, like, how do you navigate that if you still want to go into those things?
For sure. Thanks, Benny. First off, you don't want to ever settle. Like, if your standards are up here, keep them up here. That's really important. Um, if you are looking to get into asset management, portfolio management, development acquisitions, brokerage, I mean, they're going to take the people who have the best credentials. Um, so one of the reasons why all those companies who I mentioned earlier on trust us to fill jobs for them is because all of their company models are already templatized like ACRE. So if an ACRE person walks into Heinz in San Francisco or many of the places in the country, Goldman Sachs, you can look, you can sit down, you can take a modeling test, you can start your job day one and hit the ground running. That's why they come to us. And so if you're maybe a candidate who doesn't have internships, doesn't have something like the ACRE Accelerator, or maybe you have other, there's other training groups as well. But if you don't have exactly like what they want, then another candidate is probably going to get picked. Um, you know, First off, there's a ton of competition in New York. Y'all have Baruch, y'all have Columbia undergrad, MRed, and Columbia Business School. NYU, you have Shack, Stern. Um, I could probably think of a lot more. University of Buffalo, Cornell. Um, so there's a lot of competition. So what are you doing to stand out? Um, so I said, don't lower your standards. Number two, what are you doing to stand out? A great question that you guys could ask is, hey, Tucker, if I want to work here, what should I do? Development, for example. Benny said some of you guys might want to do that. Go to Gotham Development, reach out to someone and say, hey, what'd you do to get the job? Hey, what do you guys recommend for a candidate who's applying? What kind of candidates stand out? Um, those are all good questions to ask when you're networking. Um, I don't know if that answered your question, Benny, but the last thing I would say after don't settle, after um, it's going to be probably just put in more work than everyone else, um, or take a job that will get you there in the future. So, for example, a developer. A developer works with a broker. A developer works with an acquisitions professional. A developer works with a property manager. A developer works with a bank. They works with private equity, and they work with asset managers. So if you want to get into development, figure out how to get there. Is it the property management route that leads there? Is it that asset management? Is it the brokerage route? all of them play in the same atmosphere. And so you just have to have a goal and you got to commit to it. Uh, Along that same line, Benny, a lot of people ask, hey, Tucker, um, what if I'm majoring in maybe not commercial real estate? Maybe I want to go to accounting, investment banking, consultant. Maybe I'm not 100% committed towards real estate. You know, what we'd say to that, and we get that question a lot, is commit and figure the rest out later. Um, so if you don't know, you got to commit and kind of figure it out when you go down that road. Um, Benny, I hope that question. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, totally. And I just wanted to say something that you said a year ago when you came to speak to our club, when RA reached out to you. This is how I actually got through to Tucker originally, was from when he spoke when last year at the same event. And one thing that he said that rings in my head all day whenever I'm like trying to find out anything about any company or, to get a lead network is that you're a college student and take advantage of that. People
Mm-hmm.
love talk to college students. They rarely will say no.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might have to follow up a few times, but they're not finding it rude. It's not rude. It's normal. But like you're a college student, take advantage of the fact that you can message anybody on LinkedIn. And if anybody wants help with that, I'm happy to help you sort out which companies would be good for you, find a person in the right group. I'm happy to do that. But like everyone's willing to say hi to you and help you get on a phone call with you. And like that's the way that I think Tucker is like mainly saying like start that, get your foot in
Yeah.
the door, get noticed, so you're that first person. So
Yeah.
just something he said that I think about that every day.
Yeah, so again, like make the contact before the job appears. Exactly what Benny said. If you're a sophomore, I'd love for you to be reaching out to, 2 to 5 people a month or having actually 2 to 5 like business calls a month. If you're a junior, I'd say double that, like at least 5 to 10 a month. If you're a senior without a job, man, like you're gonna be hustling way harder, especially in this time right now. And so here's here is kind of what I do. I think we're gonna keep it simple, stupid today. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Figure out where you want to live post college. Next, get an internship in that city and focus all your networking on that city. If you want to live in New York, don't talk to someone in LA, Dallas, Phoenix. Just focus your networking on that city. If you don't know, commit. Um, Here's what I do. I'd go to LinkedIn right now. I DM someone from Yeshiva University. Benny mentioned Aria Halpert. He works with PwC on the real estate valuations team. He's the first person I'd hit up. Ask him, hey, how'd you get that job? Hey, what'd you do the first 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, year that set you apart? Second, DM people who are on the news. This is exactly what I said to Judah. I'd be reading biznow.com, therealdeal.com, and New York City bizjournals.com. Great. Those are people who are actively doing deals. And then, hey, what do I say to them? So let's look at the right side of the screen. What to say? Um, and if you can take a picture of this or like screenshot it. I remember when I was in college, man, it took me like an hour to send one email to someone. Like my armpits would be sweating and I'd be like looking over everything. And, quite frankly, in college, it's a numbers game. You want to talk with as many people as possible so you can learn a bunch of different terms. You can learn a bunch of different, um, let's just say, industry jargon, uh, people, what the company's like, what their bosses are like, what their culture's like. And so I'd say, again, it's a volume game. So I'm going to break this down for you right here. Hi, name. Again, this is someone you connected with on, LinkedIn from Yeshiva. This is someone you came across in the Real Deal magazine. Do you have 15 minutes to connect? You might even say, even on your commute, I came across your name. How? I saw you went to Yeshiva. I saw you worked, and you did a deal in the Real Deal. Congratulations. I came across your name, and I want to ask you some questions about your role in commercial real estate. Boom. That's it. Let's continue. Are you available next week, perhaps between Wednesday and Friday, between 2 to 6? There's nothing worse, y'all, than when you're trying to figure out a time and it just doesn't work and there's 15 different email exchanges and then it's like, oh my gosh, I do not want to talk with this student. That happens to me quite frankly. Hey man, let me text you. It's like, no, keep this over email. And also say, are you available? So give them a time, um, perhaps Wednesday or Friday between 2 to 6. I think Friday evening is really good times to have calls, but generally I'd say the evening after 2 to 3 is really good times to have calls for real estate professionals. Um, is there any questions about this? Go. Um, so what does the first call look like? Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna give someone the opportunity to take yourselves off mute and tell us what do you think the first call looks like.
I would say just first of all, hey Tucker, nice to meet you. My name is
What's
Yosef.
going on?
I would say first call, intro call, keep it simple, tell them a little bit about your background, and also find out more about them.
Yeah. Okay. So Yosef, let's do a quick like mock call. Um, is there
Sure.
a specific company that you want to work with?
That's a good question. I was applying to Greystone,
Cool. Great stuff.
Walker and Dunlop, Morgan Stanley, those types of places.
Okay.
Potentially
Um,
private equity right out of the gate also.
okay. So those are more like lending companies. Um, again, like that's a great first question that everyone should have down pat. Hey, what's your top company? Because if I'm that person and you say Greystone, I'm like, dude, I know 14 people over there. And so everyone should have that company down pat. All right, so Yosef, uh, hey, thanks for reaching out to me on LinkedIn. Obviously, I went to Yeshiva University, as you mentioned in your LinkedIn email. Um, you also mentioned you want to work for a company like Greystone. I guess, like, can you tell me quickly about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, Tucker, it's nice to meet you and get on the phone. I'm currently studying finance at Yeshiva University, and I've been super interested in real estate, private equity, and I've actually have some experience on the acquisition side, working for a small syndications firm, and also on the mortgage brokerage side. I was doing that a little bit ago, and I'm just looking to, develop new skills and just add value to a team, and looking to explore and I really hope that we can potentially try to usually with regard to calls, I'll be totally transparent. I haven't actually made so many calls like this. Like
Yeah.
normally I am working part-time, and normally my calls are more like how can we work together
Hmm.
versus asking for advice. But
Yeah, yeah. So here's what I'd say, and thank you, Yosef, for going. Um, yeah, yeah. Give him a round of applause. Let's go, Rachel. You're next. um, so like, anytime you get the opportunity to have whether it's a networking call, always think about it as a job interview. So you do what mostly every student does. Um, I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen and we'll keep going. Um, so most every student says that exact same thing. Hey, my name is Yosef. I'm a senior at Yeshiva University, majoring in finance. I actually do have some experience, and I hope we can work together at some point. Like that's typical, um, and that's candidly what not to do. As I mentioned earlier, if everyone else is doing that, how can you stand apart? And so again, this is kind of what I'd say, whether it's a first interview or a networking call that's just quickly on the phone, a coffee chat, if you want to call it an informational interview, people call it. Again, I take another screen clipping of this. So, so I'd like to hear, you know, hey Tucker, I came across your name and not only on LinkedIn, but also some publications of Greystone's hospitality or mortgage brokerage closing X amount of business last year, like $2.2 billion. Man, that's a ton. I also read that you guys, or I also talked to 4 analysts of yours in the past 6 months. I talked to Dean and John and Benny and Arya, and they've told me great things about your guys' culture. They love your guys' training program. And when they started with their company, man, they were bragging to me like every day. And, quite frankly, I'm a major, I'm a finance major. I actually do have some experience. Greystone's my number one company that I want to work with. And after not only seeing your guys' publicity, but also talking to my 4 friends about your guys' company, it just sounds like a company that I want to work with. And so, honestly, man, I have no agenda for today's call. I'm really just looking to learn, how you got started in the business, what's your experience like, and how you would position myself, um, really to become a successful candidate for you guys at Greystone. So I don't know if that helps, man. Something like that is a better pitch. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that you definitely specified some details that you already, especially naming those analysts in the company. I think like
Yeah.
that really, like that's the, like, you've already spoken to Dean, John, like you already came in prepared. It's like about them. Like, oh, they're like, wait, like how does he know so much about me? Like,
Yes, man. And so like, um, tell me about yourself. That's always the first question anyone is going to get in an interview. And you turn the question back. Don't tell them about yourself. Tell them what you know about them, because then they'll be like, oh my gosh, this guy is prepared. And again, luck equals preparation plus opportunity. You already have the opportunity. You're talking to them on the phone. Now it's preparation. So some ways you can prepare for an interviews. Again, look up their LinkedIn, Google search their name, go to their company website and go to the company bio and see if they played sports in school, or um, again, practice religious studies, or kind of, I don't know, but just find like a common thing. Um, and that'll just change the whole entire conversation. I think the best thing, again, so Spencer Burton, he's the founder of ACRE. He owns a real estate private equity company. And he says if there's one person who's talked to the candidate at the company, then he or she's automatically going to get interviewed. Because what they want to do is 280 applicants and one person's already talked with someone, like they just want to interview that person. We already know them. And so that's why this stuff is so critical right now. It's like make the contact before the job appears. Um, so that's what this looks like, y'all. How to make the contact before the job appears. Commit to where you want to live. Focus your networking on that city. Um, and yeah. Internships. So freshmen, I don't think there's any freshmen on this call. Start learning more about real estate. I'm going to send a bunch of these to Benny. These are all, the 500 most used real estate terms. It might fit in your pocket. It might not. But, something like this is just look at it. What's Florida error ratio? What's a floor plate? What are common floor plates? Just know these stuff, y'all. Sophomores, there's a sophomore on this call. I think one of your goals should be to get an institutional real estate internship. Institutional companies are the companies that invest, mega billions on behalf of pension funds and endowment and insurance companies. If you're going to work at one of those, and one of the questions was, hey, what are the pros and cons to working at one of those? I'll get into that. But they look good on your resume earlier, and you're able to do a lot more of them. And candidly, they usually have better training programs. A lot of those institutional real estate companies are hiring now, or about 16 months in advance. Someone said, hey, I'm looking for a 2024 internship. Those companies are hiring right now. Like Blackstone is in the middle of their interview process for a, a, summer 2024 internships. So are investment banks, private equity companies. real estate recruiting is becoming a lot more systematized than it usually has been. We preach have financial modeling down this summer, um, because a lot of those companies will have technical interviews. Juniors, if you work at an institutional real estate company during your junior year, again, you might be able to get a full-time offer, or you might be able to leverage that into getting a good role at another company. I'm going to stop here. Are there any questions about this?
Yeah, actually, I want to bring up something. So when it comes to those junior year internships, like you just said, you can oftentimes get an offer that summer or at the end of the summer for the following year to start full time once you graduate, right? So what I've noticed over this process, I actually interned at a company called RXR last summer in my junior year. They're a huge firm, or at least like assets under management. In those terms, they're a huge firm, but they don't hire like an incoming class like Blackstone, like Related, like some of the biggest companies. They have an amazing name, and they're institutional, but they're just not, they don't hire like that. So one of the things that I just have noticed that people have been asking me about in the club is that not every place is necessarily like an incoming class, but some of them will just be like hire as needed. So right now I've been in touch with the head of hiring there at RXR every month. And I have a reminder on my phone, reach out every month because they keep telling me, hey, stay on our zone. Like, we liked you, but we're just not hiring right this second. But like, keep me in your head. So trust me, I remind the guy every month that I'm here alive and that I still want to work there. So, that's just another thing to keep track of, is that like, I mean, it's a little nerve wracking because I'm right now like about to get into the workforce and don't have a job. But I don't know, Tucker, can you like give us
Yeah,
on that?
yeah. If you don't have a pen or if you've got your notes out, let's stay on the subject because I don't have any slides prepared for this. So how can I remind a company that, hey, I'm here, I'm still looking for a job? All right. As Benny said, he has something once a month on his calendar. Um, I do the same thing, quite frankly. Or again, this is all about organization. Every time I talk to a new person, or you guys have a new speaker, or you see someone in news articles or online that's doing something cool, I'd put their names on an Excel spreadsheet. Try to find their email somehow. And what this looks like is, hey, how can I consistently reach out and be top of mind? So one thing Benny said was he's got the calendar invite. I would ask him, hey, once a month, what are you doing? Are you just poking them? Hey, it's Benny, I'm here. Or are you adding value? And so what does adding value look like? It might say, hey, Joseph, I know you're mortgage broker. Lev Capital, you know, they're doing big things in the mortgage space. You might even hit up Greystone and say, hey, I came across Lev Capital. Have you guys heard about them? It looks like they're using a lot of automation and technology to, really capitalize on the mortgage brokerage business. I thought this would be an interesting read. So that's month one. Month two, oh, hey, I just got an internship at RXR Properties. Just wanted to let you know, and thank you for your time. Month two. Month three, hey, I just finished my sixth semester at Yeshiva University, and I just finished studying, real estate finance. And I know you went to Yeshiva. Just thought I'd let you know that. Month four. Oh, wait, I actually just took the ACRE accelerator, learned about a bunch of financial modeling. Like, how much are you in Excel? Uh, Month five. Hey, our class just took a trip to Gotham Development. Thought I'd share a picture with you. It was pretty cool looking at this 60-story tower. That's month six. You could go on all day. Here's a new article. Again, like it's a cycle. Joseph is freaking laughing. Um, and so it's just like it's fun. And what it does is it will set you up in your career. Because when Benny's at RXR and Yosef actually has a deal, then Yosef is gonna be like, oh, I know Benny. He keeps reaching out to me. Boom, let's do a deal. Ooh, let's do this development. Ooh, let's do this acquisition. Ooh, I actually know someone. Let's do this mortgage brokerage deal. And again, y'all, it's all about creating momentum early in your career because that means you actually like it. Like, you think someone like Kevin Durant, New York Knicks, comes to Arizona. He wanted to be with Ayton. He wanted to be with Booker and Chris Paul because they're all good. And good people want to hang out with good people. And so that's how you just rise above. These are things that not a lot of people are doing, quite frankly. Um, and it's a quick email. Who cares if they don't respond? You're tapping them, you're poking them. Um, any questions about what I just mentioned, y'all? Um,
Well, I could make a quick comment on that. So I was actually on the phone with somebody from Arbor, the
yeah, Arbor Realty
lender.
Trust.
So they're a big Fannie Mae, and they also do bridge debt. So he reached out to me on LinkedIn actually because he wanted me to potentially refer him deals that he could lend on. He's an originator, one of the, I don't know exactly like what his role is, but he is like one of the directors there. And I was on the call with him for like 40 minutes, and then on the last like 5 minutes of the call, he's like, "Hey, by the way, I also have this side group with me and partner, and we're looking to buy 50 plus units in the southeast. If you have any properties for me." So like normally I would usually there's a lot of originators that reach out to you, and I just decided, okay, whatever, like why not? I'll take the call. But now all of a sudden, like now I have a buyer for let's say
Mm-hmm.
a $10 million deal in North Carolina, and they're closing on a 275 unit in North Carolina now. So they know the area. Now, if I have something in that location, I bring it to them. So it's like exactly what you were saying with regard to referrals. You never know. Like you reach out to this guy once, all of a sudden now you have a relationship with him,
Mm-hmm.
and in 5 months, then you are closing a deal together.
Yeah, you're getting on his email list. He's getting on yours. Gavi, why don't you unmute yourself? Did you have a question?
We don't hear you, Gavi.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to hear your opinion because I know a lot of people think different things about this. But do you think that there's a specific amount of people we should be reaching out to, or should we just be messaging hundreds and hundreds of people from different companies?
Yeah, like again, commit to where you want to live, number one. Number two, like hit the people up who actually matter to you. Again, a Yeshiva grad, someone you saw in the real deal. I'd say there needs to be a reason. Right now, um, cold networking is just not the most efficient way to do business. But if there's a reason, then I'm going to respond to you. If there's not a reason and you're just saying, hey, boom, 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 let's talk. Like, no, I'm not going to waste my time with that. But if there's like a applicable reason that you're reaching out to them, I think so. And so it's more about like putting in the work up front of, hey, I actually want to work for Goldman. I'm going to DM all the Goldman people. I want to work in related. I'm going to DM all the related people. So it's finding out those top tier companies that you want to work with, and then it's doing specialized networking from there.
Tucker, quick question on that. How do you balance reaching out to, let's say 3 companies post a job. Let's say Apollo just posted something. Kushner posted something recently. So reaching out to, let's say 10 or 20 people at those firms, as opposed to reaching out to 5 people at, 5 firms.
Yeah. First off, reach out to analysts and associates more than managing directors and presidents and VPs. Analysts and associates, here's what happened. A hiring need gets created. Usually they go right to analysts and associates saying, hey, we're looking to hire a new class, a new person. Do you guys have any recommendations? It's hard to hire and it's hard to find good people. And usually good people know where to find good people. And so that's kind of what I'd say if you are due to reaching out to a bunch of people at a company. And then here's what I do. I'd probably reach out to 2 or 3. Hopefully one of them says yes. And then you go, hey man, I also noticed that you work with Sam. I checked out his LinkedIn. He looks interesting. Are you willing to make a connection? All right, so you're hopping from the next person to the next person. That's how I'd go about it.
Yeah, I have a question. Hi, I'm Noam, by the way. It's nice to meet you. Basically, I'm from Cleveland, so I'm not planning on doing real estate in Cleveland. I doubt I'm gonna live there. And my end goal is probably gonna be somewhere of a more warmer climate, like Florida or something like that. But it makes the most sense to start off in like New York. But you said that you should go based on where you want to live. How would I do that? Like, do you think it's possible to start in New York and then move to somewhere like Florida afterwards, or that just wouldn't make sense?
Yeah, man. Again, like, dude, do you want to? And let's put this into like actual practice. Let's say you actually do work 3 years in New York, and then you move to Florida. And number one, you don't have any connections, you don't have any family. It might even probably be hard to get a job down there. And then you're like 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years in, and you're like, oh, I just want some sun and some beach. And it's hard. And then stress starts coming. You start applying for jobs. You start doing worse at your current job. You get laid off. And there's so many things that could happen. And so, if I were you, I would just be looking for jobs in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd create community down there. Um, I'd make friends down there. That's how I'd go about it.
What would you say about working for a company who has an office both here and in Florida?
Yeah, that
And
would be
then
sick.
like, is that easily like, can you tell
Yeah.
someone like, hey, like I'm moving over there, like is it
Is there a
understandable
role for me?
job?
Yeah. Networking with those people over there, related, they're on a different balance sheet, related companies. But that's something. Um, I'm going to answer your question that someone asked earlier. What are the pros and cons of working for kind of an institutional company or a smaller privately held company? So first off, what is an institutional company? Again, they're entities that invest tens of billions of dollars on behalf of their clients. So number one, what you'll get is more deal volume. Real estate people are paid for their deal seasoning and their network. So deal seasoning, since no two deals in real estate are the same, if I look at 100 versus if I look at 1,000, I'll probably have a better analysis and a better judgment on which deals will pencil out quicker. So I'm not spending my time on them. So institutional companies, you'll have more deal volume. People are bringing deals to you versus a smaller organization. Not as many people are bringing deals to you. These are also larger deals. Smaller mom and pop shop might not be buying this building behind me, but an institutional company might be buying this plus 10 others around me. And so you just can say, hey, I've worked on a higher volume of deals. Therefore, in your career, if you ever want to go off on your own, again, bigger is usually better when trying to, either raise money or say that kind of credibility. Usually class A product, top MSAs. So you're working in the Miami's, New York, Chicago's, Dallas's, top markets versus, maybe like a smaller Nashville or Raleigh or Phoenix. And again, it looks better on a resume. What are non-institutional companies? These are, hey, I'm investing for myself. I'm investing on behalf of others. I've raised a $250 million fund versus Blackstone's $12 billion fund. You actually have a potential for equity, and you actually might get paid more. So, if you're going to go work at Goldman, like $90,000 is cap. If you're going to go work at maybe a light tech company, which is a low income housing tax credit company, you might get paid more, like a 95 or $100,000. And they might even say, hey, in 6 months, a year, or right now, you can actually pay some of your base salary into this development. And then when it sells in 5 years, you'll get part of the promote. And so again, that's a great way to get equity. These companies might pay more and they might give you equity because it's harder for them to recruit good talent. Also faster promotion. Blackstone or Goldman, it's like, hey, you're an analyst, you're a senior analyst, you're an associate, you're a senior associate, then you're a VP or a director or an assistant vice president. That's like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. At this low-income housing tax credit company, it might just be like, hey, you did a good job. After 18 months, you're actually an associate. after another 36 months, so you're 3.5 years in, we're gonna promote you to, I don't know, development manager or manager. And then if you want to leave after that, you're actually going to be making more money in comparison to the Goldman who's been here for 4 years and he's just a senior analyst or an associate, where you're actually a manager. So again, the the faster you rise up in your title, the more money you'll make over time. Um, Less red tape and bureaucracy. Again, if you're going to go work for that Goldman, there's 4 levels of people. If you're more entrepreneurial like myself, I don't want that, man. I want one level at max. And so again, there's less red tape. You might even learn more. Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba, he said in your 20s to 30s, you should go work for a smaller company so you could learn property management, asset management, portfolio management, development, brokerage, versus at Goldman, man, you're working in asset management and that's it. You might talk with some property managers or portfolio managers, but that's it. You're pigeonholing yourself to a deal. So that's really all I got for you all today. Looks like Gabby has another question. I'm going to open it up to everyone for questions. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I was the one who originally asked this question, and so I was kind of wondering, money aside, do you think that I've never worked obviously in the corporate world, but do you think that the experiences that I'm going to have and the opportunities I'm going to get in a smaller company are more beneficial than the opportunities I'll have in the public company?
I would ask you, what's your goal 15 to 20 years from now?
Probably to work in a small company.
Yeah. Again, like, it really depends. If I think you should have both. I think you should set yourself up earlier in your career for an institutional job so you can go see what it's like to work at a company with 10,000 people. Because once you start working at a smaller company, it's hard to break into those bigger companies. A lot of people, what they do, Gavi, is if they go work for a smaller company right out of undergrad and they're like, yeah, this isn't for me. I want to go break into Invesco or Blackstone. They actually go back to business school because that's like a reset. But if you don't want to go back to business school and spend another 100 grand at Columbia, that's when you start yourself early, work with institutional, because it's always easier to go from institutional to privately held smaller, but it's a lot harder to go from privately held smaller to an institutional organization.
Thank you.
I have a question. Basically, I like don't want to be sitting in an office my entire life. I
Yeah.
like moving around. What aspect of real estate would you say would best cope with that?
But what do you think?
Probably broker. I mean, it sounds like that's something that you're constantly looking around
Yeah.
from building to building, seeing which one's the
Yeah.
best one. Or
Brokers are,
property management maybe.
yeah, property managers, brokers, property managers, developers, acquisition professionals. Like, they're out there, they're making cold calls. Number one, so that's kind of movement. They're going to those networking events. That's movement. Number two, they're looking for sites. They're driving around, and so if you're someone who is a good networker, is proactive, kind of has thick skin, um, I'd go more towards acquisitions or brokerage.
Okay, thank you.
But also, like, don't ever be afraid to try some things and be like, dude, that was not for me. I think that's the best part about starting early is, hey, I went and tried property management, didn't like it. I went and tried asset management. Ah, geez, I hated that. I went and tried real estate recruiting. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. So again, like, if you're one step closer to a no, I always think of this process like Hinge. Um, your boy is single if you know anyone. Um, but it's like, dude, do you swipe right, swipe left? Man, I met this person, she's not for me. Man, I met him, he's not for me. And it's like I'm one step closer to getting a yes. And that's how that job is like, y'all. You want to, number one, work with someone who you want to show up to work every day, like, passionate. You'll do that by getting to know people you're networking with. And so, again, that's an easy thing to think about. Is like, hey, man, I'm putting myself out there to find a particular mate. I saw Benny, you have a ring on. It's like, hey, you want to find the right person and you want to find the right job as well. So that's how I'd kind of think about this process. It might take a lot of meetings to find that right spouse or that right career.
Also, even on like the side, like for me, like I also want to probably do something on the side that maybe could grow into something bigger, like maybe build my own company on the side.
Yeah.
Would you say that those like broker and property manager, maybe something else would be the best to free up space for me to do that?
Yeah, so the career path a lot of brokers take is they become owners. Brokers, again, they trade deals. They're the first people who really know about certain deals in the market. And so if they have enough money or if they have the right connections, they might even buy the deal and then own it. So a lot of brokers become owners. Um, Noam, that's a great path into entrepreneurship, being a broker, is because you see a lot of people and you meet a lot of people. Um, you see a lot of deals and you meet a lot of people. And so, yeah, that's exactly kind of what I'm doing on the writing side. I'm building a recruiting business. I'm building a writing publication company. And I want to keep trying new things. I want to keep growing my skills. We're young right now. And so, yeah, great question.
Thank you very much, Tucker. I just want to say, everyone, that Tucker is way more knowledgeable than he may appear because of his young and chill, vibe. But really, he knows a ton, and everything he's saying is legitimate and straight from the source. So I just want to thank you very much on behalf of everyone, Real Estate
sure.
Club, and everyone who joined. We really, really appreciate it. And I don't know what your policy is, but if I can give out your contact information to anyone that's interested or make an intro or something, I'd love to do that. I think that I already got a few requests for that on the side.
Cool.
But other than that, thank you very much.
Yeah,
really, really
thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Keep it up. ACRE, we actively travel to New York, and when we're there, we like to throw parties and connect students with professionals. And so I'll be sure to reach out to you guys when we're up there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Tucker.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all.